What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to another live edition of the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast and follow me across all social media platforms. You see the social media handle right there. Shoot me a like, shoot me a comment, send over your topics, your questions, whatever you want to get into, we get into that. So make sure you subscribe and, like I said, give me a follow. Also, make sure you are locked in with Real Fans Real Talk. We are live every Monday night, 7 p.m. If you missed last week's episode, you can go back in the archives. You'll see it up there. The same with this episode on the YouTube channel. But we're live. Normally every Wednesday. We pushed it back a night because we knew there were no NBA games tonight. So gives us an opportunity to talk about some NBA, some reaction to the lottery. Shout out to the comment section. I see Pooh, I see John, I see Squeeze, I see Kyrie. Shout out to y'all. I really appreciate you guys. But like I said, we pushed it back a night just to give us an opportunity to get into the series, get into a reaction to the lottery. We got the NFL schedule that's going to be released in about 45 minutes. So a lot to get into, a lot to talk about. But let's start off first and foremost, man. Thoughts and prayers, RIP, Brandon Clark of the Memphis Grizzlies. Young man tragically passed away yesterday. Early reports, I don't want to smear his name, so I don't really want to put it out there. Early reports, there were some things that were involved, and we'll leave it at that until it's officially confirmed. But 29 years old, really a vital part of the kind of rebuild and the excitement, the new rejuvenation that took place in Memphis, right? With John Morant, with Jaren Jackson when he was still there. And Clark missed most of this year. I think he only played in like 3 or 4 games. He was hurt most of the season. But definitely thoughts and prayers out to his family as that young man, so young in the prime of his career, tragically passes away, man. So definitely want to start with that. But yeah, let's get into some stuff. Let's get into the comment section tonight. Like I said, there's no NBA tonight. So we get the opportunity to kind of enjoy each other's company right now. You know what I'm saying? We fill in the gap. Games resume tomorrow. Game 6, San Antonio at Minnesota. San Antonio tries to put the series away. Detroit in Cleveland as Cleveland tries to put the series away. I want to start there. And I'm going to get to the questions because I know there's some questions about the Cavs, about the Pistons, about the late game execution. We're going to get to those in a minute. But I want to start there. For the Cavs, and specifically their 2 stars, this is one of the biggest moments in their career. And I know it sounds crazy to say that, right? It's a second round matchup. They were not favored to win the matchup. So the fact that they have the opportunity to win it would be a great upset over the number 1 seed Pistons. But here's why I say that. Since Donovan Mitchell has gotten to Cleveland, I should say, they have not got past the second round of the playoffs, right? He was brought there to be the new star. He was brought there to be the guy with these other young guys. Remember, they had Garland, they had Mobley already, they had Jared Allen. He was supposed to be the final piece to really push him over the top. They haven't been past the second round yet. They've had a couple early round exits as well. And so this is a situation for him to kind of validate the trade of Donovan Mitchell. Same thing with James Harden, right? You don't trade for a player who's 8 years older than what you gave away, because he's 8 years older than Darius Garland, to lose in the second round of playoffs. You were already able to make the second round of playoffs prior to Harden. So you didn't need James Harden for that. But now you sit in a situation where you can eliminate the top seed in the East and you have the opportunity to move on to a conference finals. Harden has not been in a conference finals in quite some time. Donovan Mitchell hasn't been in a conference finals in quite some time. And so being up 3-2 on your home court, if you blow this, I do believe it would be one of the bigger failures in both their careers. This is an opportunity, like I said, for Harden and for Mitchell. This is why you were brought to Cleveland. If you don't figure this out, if you cannot finish this off, it is one of the bigger failures of their Hall of Fame careers. Let's call it what it is. All right. Now, I originally said the series was going 7. I think I'm still leaning 7 just because I don't trust Harden in the closeout game. Detroit has shown kind of a propensity to stay alive. They did it against Orlando. If they do it this time, I think this time would be even more amazing than the first time, because this is more a veteran-laden team than that young Orlando team that never expected to be competitive in that series anyway. This is a situation where Cleveland expected to be competitive, and Cleveland knew what was on the line for them. You don't make a trade for Harden unless you think you're going to make a deep playoff run. So Cleveland has played with a lot of confidence. I personally think Cleveland has actually outplayed Detroit for most of this series. Detroit was lucky to get out of their first 2 games up 2-0. I thought that series should have been split after 2 games. I talked about that leading into game 3 when I did the pregame show. And I said that the trip as well, that this series has been is much closer than I think people realize, just because we already anointed the Pistons because they were the #1 seed. We kind of gave them the pass, expecting them to live up to that billing. But the Pistons have a lot of issues, and we're going to get to that. I know there's some questions about Jalen Duren. There's some questions about Cade Cunningham. So let's get to them questions, man. Shout out to Squeeze. I'm going to get to this one first, and then John, I'm going to get to your question as well right after this one. Pistons blew 9-point lead in the final 3 minutes. I love Cade, but his turnovers in these critical games, to me, he hasn't taken that big jump yet. Some were saying he and Anthony Edwards battling for top USA guy. That last part, I guess I could see putting Ant in that conversation. I wouldn't put Cade in that conversation yet. Because if you're talking top USA guy, I mean, we're including Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum is better than Cade Cunningham, so I wouldn't put Cade in that conversation just yet. I understand it now. If you're talking top American guards, maybe that's something different. But I wouldn't put him over Tatum as far as the top player. All right. Now, back to the point of the question, though, here, Squeeze. Cade Cunningham has had to take on a lot of the workload for the Pistons. And that was my biggest concern with this Pistons team. They're very flawed. You watch them. Who else is the guy creating offense? Who else is the guy who can initiate offense and kind of allow Cade to relax? Every possession starts and pretty much ends with Cade Cunningham either shooting the ball or having to create a shot for somebody else, which leads to the question that John had, what's up with Jalen Duren? I think the reason why Jalen Duren is struggling is because defenses are not helping off of him anymore. This isn't the regular season. This isn't the time where teams were sending doubles and blitzes at Cade Cunningham, and then he was able to get the ball off or get the lob at the rim. Teams are staying home. And that's why you see Tobias hasn't shot that well the last couple games either after a hot start to the playoffs. Teams are saying, Cade, if you want to go for 40 tonight, go for 40. But we rather you go for 40 than you beat us by going for 25, 12, and 7. And now you got Tobias with 20. You got Duncan Robinson with another 12 to 15. You got Jalen Duren with another 12 to 15. The Pistons were beating teams based off of what Cade could create for them. And I think teams have figured that out, and they're putting a lot of pressure on Cade to be the scorer. Orlando did it very, very well. I think Cleveland has done it very, very well. And on the flip side, I think Detroit is going to regret the way they put this roster together. They went and traded for Kevin Huerter. They really don't play him that much, even though he's a guy I think that could initiate some offense. But I look at this team and I say, last year I thought you were better with Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm not sold on what they currently have on that roster and in that team. So for me, the struggles of Jalen Duren kind of correlate with the fact that Cade has to do all the heavy lifting for them, and teams are not helping off of the shooters. There isn't these driving lanes anymore. There isn't this help where, oh, you got an open man in the corner or easy lob at the rim. Every team is pretty much saying we're going to stay at home. We're going to force Cade to beat us. And even if you make the pass, everyone else is going to have to hit a very difficult shot to beat us. I think the Cavs have done a great job of it. I think Orlando did a great job of it. If Orlando doesn't slip up in the second half of that game 6, Orlando would have bumped Detroit last round. Cleveland gets that same opportunity right now. Will, give me the thumbs up. Let me know when you're ready, bro. We got to celebrate the return of my man. He took a little time off. I don't know if this was intentional or not, because he decides to come back after the Wizards win the lottery.
Man, you
got him red, white, and blue like Captain America.
You see it. You see it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my main man, my brother from another, Will Gordon's in the building.
What they do, baby? Your boy's back. Like I left, something was up to all the supporters, man. I missed y'all. It's been a good minute since I got to join you guys and chop it up on some sports and other bullshit, man. It's good to be back.
You already know, bro. The people was asking for you. We kept talking about you, and we told them you'll be back very, very soon. So we back to it, man.
Yes, sir.
I was just kind of, we early in. I was talking about the Pistons, their struggles. I was answering this question from John, who said, what's up with Jalen Duren? My take on it is, as you might have heard there, I just think teams are saying, Cade, if you want to score 40 tonight, go ahead. But we're not going to allow the shooters to get off. We're not going to allow any easy lobs at the rim, because none of these other guys can create their offense. And that's just the way I view it with them. But what are you seeing from the Pistons?
I'm seeing a lack of what I saw in the regular season from that front court. Like I felt like the front court was pretty dominant on both sides of the floor as far as being able to establish themselves early in games and then just wear on teams. And I think that's something they were able to do up throughout the season that you haven't really seen at all in the playoffs yet. And Jalen Duren is on a milk carton right now.
Right.
Like like what we he was looking like a nice company and piece to Cade being so ball dominant. But it's like I don't know. It's like he's gotten timid. I don't know if he was reading his own headlines, as they used to say. It was starting to feel itself a little too much, pause, or if he was. I don't know. He don't look the same. I saw a stat today that said in the regular season he had 6 games where he didn't have double digit points, and so far in these playoffs he's had 6 games where he doesn't have double digit points.
Well, Will, you and I both know that we watch a lot of basketball. The beauty of a series is your weaknesses are going to get exposed,
Yeah,
right? And the good team, the reason that the good teams keep advancing is because they find a way to overcome their weaknesses. You can't find as many weaknesses if you're playing the Spurs or Oklahoma City, right? Those teams, even the minute things that you can say, oh, they could be better here, they're so good everywhere else that it's like you can't expose those things. I think Detroit had a very fine line between their weaknesses and them being a good team. And this time of year, one of the things that I really noticed the last couple of years, this is why depth in the NBA has become so important. You got to have multiple guys who can create a shot for you.
yeah.
It cannot be one guy, right?
They have 2.
Who's their second?
Maybe when Toby want to get off, Toby can get his own shot when he gets in the groove. He's hard to check, but
So,
that's
right.
that's it.
But again, you said maybe.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a consistent go to
Right. And
where you know he's gonna get 20 something from him every night because you might get 15 one night, you might get 25 the next, you might get 12. You know
and
what I'm saying?
Tobias, though, that's been his history, though. That dates back to his
Yeah,
time with the Sixers.
yeah,
Remember the famous Jimmy Butler, y'all chose him over me. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, this is who Tobias Harris. There's certain guys in the NBA that if you tune in on the right night, you would think they top 10 players. If you tune in on the right night, you're going to think Tobias Harris one of the best players in the game. If you tune in on the right night, you're going to think Andrew Wiggins one of the best players in the game, right? Paul George, you're going to think because if you catch him on the right night when everything's clicking, those guys do look special.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that, again, over the course of a series, what you look like in game 1, you might not look like in game 4. What he
Yep.
looked like in the first 2 games of the series, he does not look like the same player now as the series is going on. And the Cavaliers, to their credit, made minor adjustments. I like that they started playing Schroeder a little bit more, right? I
Mm-hmm.
like that they've gone away from the double big because I've always said the double big
Yeah,
does not work for them because neither one of those guys are bruisers. Both those
and
guys are finesse bigs.
and that's what was happening. What you were seeing early on in the series was Evan Mobley was getting pushed the fuck around.
Right.
Like he wasn't doing nothing. He wasn't effective down low at all. He wasn't rebounding at 7 foot. I believe there was one game he had 1 rebound at 7 foot in 30 some minutes played, and he hasn't been that pick and pop big man with the little J that they've been wanting to see on a consistent basis either. So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, they to me, that's really the struggles of Detroit. I think Cade is special. I forgot who mentioned it. Somebody had put it in the question when they came back against Orlando, like, oh, did Cade prove he's a star? And I said, no, I didn't. To me, I didn't think he proved he was a star because one, they should have never been down 3-1 to Orlando in the first place. Right? All they did was handle their business by winning the series. We expected them to win the series. We never thought it was gonna go 7. But Cade always been a star. The real problem with this Detroit team, like most teams who have a young star, is who is our second guy? Who's the guy who can take a little bit of pressure off him? It's why Dallas, when they had Luka, what did they try to do? They try to go get Porzingis, then they went and got Kyrie. All young teams try to get that second guy, knowing that when we get into the thick of things in the playoffs, and the coaching is better, and the strategies are better, and the defense is better, the one guy who got this high basketball usage, who we running all the offense to, that shit is not going to work in the playoffs. You got to have more depth. So to me, the issue is not Cade in this situation. It's more like you said, Jalen Duren. It's the fact that Tobias has been hot and cold. It's the fact that Duncan Robinson is purely just a 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
Duncan cannot create anything for you, right? Amen Thompson is no threat unless you're playing an up and down game. In a half court game, Thompson is not a threat offensively.
No, you got to get out and run with for Thompson to be effective. But when you
Right.
do, he's a nice player. But
I
you got
think
to be
he's a
able to do
great
both.
defensive player. Right. I think he's a great defensive player. But when you get those like yesterday, for example, they blow the lead, 9-point lead at 3 minutes left. That whole sequence of plays, if you look back at it, was all slowed down, methodical basketball. So in those situations, the Cavaliers have a great advantage because they got two guys who can get a shot off. You only have one. You know what I'm saying? It makes it a lot harder for you to defend them because it might be Mitchell this possession, it might be Harden, and then Harden's always known to find somebody else open. With Detroit, it's Cade, and then everybody else is standing around hoping he can create.
Yeah.
I just don't like that sequence for them.
And you know what their offense kind of reminds me of is it kind of reminds me of your Knicks like the last 2 years. Where it was all Jalen Brunson dribbling the shit out the ball and then trying to get into the offense with 8 seconds left.
I
And
1,000% agree.
that's exactly what it looks like. It's like the Knicks used to look before
I
they
agree.
figured it out.
That's why Leon Rose went out and made the move for Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have somebody else that if I give you the ball, can you get your own shot?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And Detroit really does not have that.
And Detroit, that is it. And even if you look at that series last year, Knicks and Detroit, every game was close. The difference was in those final possession moments. Then again, the Knicks had two guys that they could say, all right, either one of these guys can get us a shot. If Cat got the mismatch, let Cat get an opportunity. If Jalen got to go, and Detroit consistently had just one guy that was trying to do it, you're not going to advance deep in the playoffs. You can win a series. You can definitely win a series when you got the best player on the court. You're not going to beat the better teams when it's just one guy.
But here's the good news for Detroit.
They're young.
Well, I'm talking like right now. The good news for them is they were probably no call away from winning that game last night. At the end,
Do you think that should have been called though? Because I don't think
I do. I thought that was a clear. Now I know there are fouls that let go at the end of games, but I thought that was pretty. I thought that was a little too obvious of a foul to not call. You go to the line, not hit one free throw, you win the game. So, but they're that close to win. They're that close to being up 3-2.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's been a close series either way because I think Detroit looks back at. I'm sorry. I think Cleveland looks back at game 2 and say, man, if Harden don't have like those 3 bad possessions, but he just kept turning the ball over, we had a chance to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The series has been close. Even the games that Cleveland won at home, Detroit was right there. Remember, Harden had to hit a big shot in game 3 just to win that one.
Yeah.
So the series has been close either way. I was okay with no call in that moment just because, again, it was a mad scramble for the ball. It wasn't like, oh, Detroit had clear possession and now this guy just comes barreling into him. It was a scramble for the ball. It is what it is, and it's in the final seconds. I'm cool with it going to overtime. And my thing is, if for the Detroit fans, if you're mad that there was no call there, you should be more mad that you blew a 9-point lead with 3 minutes to go.
Very true. Very true. But let me ask you this real quick. If they made that call, would you have been upset with it?
I mean, I would have just felt like it was unnecessary in that moment. I wouldn't have been like, oh my God, I can't believe y'all made that call. I would have just felt like, you know what? It's going to overtime. Let the players decide it. Don't blow the whistle in that moment. Because again, there was no clear possession. Both players are just out of control running for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can understand if he had established possession and now the player comes barreling into him, then it's like, all right, that's pretty obvious. But y'all both just in a mad scramble for the ball at that point. Let that go. I'm cool with letting it go.
Yeah, but you're right. They gave up the lead, so it shouldn't have come down to that. Yeah. And then the other good news for them is James Harden has had his 2 good games now because he don't usually give you more than that in a series,
So,
and he's had those already.
I 1,000% agree with you. I said this on Monday when I told Tripp, I said this series is going 7. He was like, it's going 7. I was like, no, Harden got one more good one in him.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. The Harden collapse normally comes now
when
they have the chance to finish the series off. And that's why I started the podcast by saying tonight, I truly believe this could be the biggest moment in Harden and Donovan Mitchell's career. Because y'all were brought to Cleveland to elevate this team. Remember, you're in that area, so you know you've heard it more than I have. You know better than I do. When Mitchell went there, they already had the young guys. They had Garland, they had Mobley, they had Allen. He was supposed to be the piece to elevate them to make them contenders. They ain't been past the second round since Donovan Mitchell got there 4 years ago. Now you traded James Harden, who's 8 years older than Darius Garland. You basically said we're all in with this team to win this year. If you blow this 3-2 lead, especially when game 6 is at home, I think it's got to be the biggest disappointment in either one of their careers at this point. Because
Yeah,
if you can't finish off, and this is not a knock on Detroit, but Detroit is very young. Detroit doesn't have a lot of experience themselves. If you cannot knock off this young, inexperienced team, then you got no business calling yourself a savvy vet. You got no business getting the type of paychecks y'all get.
yep.
Because veteran-laden teams finish this series off.
Especially when you're going against a team with we've said, all they really have is Cade.
Right.
And this is a big moment for what's their coach name? Detroit's coach.
Bickerstaff.
Yeah, so this is a big moment for him because really I feel like going into game 6, your approach needs to be James is not we're not gonna let James get comfortable at all. Like Donovan, he gonna give you 30, 35. Go ahead and live with that. But you can't allow James to give you 20 and 8. You know what I'm saying? You need to make him uncomfortable early. If that means get physical with him, because when you get physical with James Harden, it makes him very uncomfortable. And that's usually when he gets, a little frustrated and then wants to make it go one-on-one basketball. So if you can get physical with him early and take him out and say, because you pick your poison. You know what I'm saying? Live with Donovan. He gonna go off. But if you can get James off his mark, then that's going to be your key to your road to success right there.
I agree. I just think for Cleveland, the biggest difference in this series has been the other guys. It's been the contributions of Max Strus and Dennis Schroeder. That's really the difference between what's been going on. Because early in the series, Detroit was getting good contributions from Tobias Harris and Duncan Robinson. They haven't been getting that lately. And on the flip side, you see Max Strus hitting a lot of threes. You see Dennis Schroeder coming in and kind of changing the tempo of the game. And because Detroit hasn't found a way to match that, it's really, like you said, to the benefit of James Harden. It's allowed him to kind of pick his spots. He hasn't had to be Harden the whole game. It's almost like, we can kind of save your legs for when we need you in the third and fourth quarter. Whereas early in the series, when he's turning the ball over 6-7 times, that was them trying to play the old Harden. Put it in his hands, let him create. And I think Kenny Atkinson has realized, like, we can't play it that way. We got to play with energy early and then let Harden kind of close the show when he's a little fresher.
Yeah.
Shout out to Poole. She said, given the Timberwolves any chance in the Spurs series, I know they go to Mini next year. Tomorrow night, they're in Minnesota. They're down 3-2. Wembanyama's been phenomenal in this series. Aside from game 1 when he shot poorly and he looked a little tired, and then obviously the ejection, the other 3 games, Minnesota has had no answer for Victor Wembanyama. They've had no answer, I think, for Dylan Harper. And
who looked great.
Yeah, Dylan Harper's looked amazing in the series. I'm only giving Minnesota a chance just because Ant-Man might have just one more moment in him. But to win the series, no, because I just think Wembanyama's playing on a different level right now.
Yeah.
Wemby looks like the MVP guy that we talked about all year.
Wemby's a damn creative player, man. It's not fair. And Minnesota, I can't give you a pass on the last game getting a 30-piece put on you, man. This is the NBA playoffs, and you're supposed to be playing with some kind of pride. You know what I mean? Nobody in the playoffs should lose by 30, especially with everything on the line. Wasn't that game? No, that game was in San Antonio, though, right?
Yeah.
But even still, you were supposed to come out mad that even Wemby was allowed to play. You're supposed to come out with a chip on your shoulder or something. And they just come across as that's my one thing about Minnesota is too many times I look at them and I feel like they look soft.
I think they got too many guys who are hot and cold, starting with Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Again, they're another one of them teams that if you catch them on the right night, you like, man, this team looks like a title contender. The crazy part of that game 5 that you mentioned was they were down big early. They damn near 20 in the first half. Then they go on a run, and so you thinking like, oh, they about to walk San Antonio down. They're gonna make this interesting, and then still lose by 30. Like I can't even think of a game last time I've seen that had that many swings where it's like you down 20. Oh shit, you only down 6. Oh shit, you down 26 again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like every time they went on a run, San Antonio would take it to another level on them, and that's why I don't think, like I said, Ant-Man may have enough to save the season. I just don't know if he got enough to take it to that next level because it seems like whenever they go to one level, San Antonio goes up 2 more levels on them.
And
We saw that in game 2 and game 3. Those were blowouts too.
they got a lot of guys on San Antonio that contribute. No, I always get them confused, but the two brothers they got with the dreads, this
You talking
always
about Devin Vassell?
Vassell and it's another one. But Vassell is very nice. Like he if he was on another team, I think he'd be getting a
Yeah,
lot more attention.
the starting point
Yeah,
guard on Castle.
those guys contribute, and they're very well coached. It almost feels like it's an extension of Popovich. I know he's at all the games and all, but man, they got something going on in San Antonio. And then when you get Limby, you good for the next 15 years because you know they ain't gonna let him leave.
Oh no, that's a
And
fact. We know that.
you know what I'm
But
saying? He gonna be a Spur for life. So it's I mean it's fun to watch because they're in the West and my team's in the East. Like your team's in the East too. You know what I'm saying? If the only thing that we might run into them in the finals, but it's fun as a basketball fan. It's fun to watch a damn creative player from the NBA 2K in real life because that's exactly what Wemby is, man. It's unbelievable watching him play basketball.
he is. I know for a fact we've never seen anything like him. I don't want to keep using that same phrase, but it is what it is. And I think the only thing that could slow them down, they're good. They're good. And I've been saying this. Will, I know you hate this, but I've been saying this since the cup. When we've had to play them, and I'm like, yo, there's really not one guy you could single out on defense. Like you can't just say, oh, we're gonna run a pick and roll on this guy. Because all their guys are long defenders, all long athletic defenders. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The shortest guy they play is probably Castle, who's 6'5".
Yeah,
Right? Him and De'Aaron
yeah.
Fox are the two smallest dudes on that team. There isn't a slow-footed guy. There isn't we can just go after that guy. It's like all of those guys can switch any situation. The only thing that I feel could be their Achilles heel, and because this is also their first time going down this path, is they don't really have a lot of depth. They have their starting 5. They got Keldon Johnson. They play Luke Cornett a little bit as the backup center, and then that's where it really stops.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I'll be interested to see because we saw Wemby was a little fatigued in game 1, and then he figured it out moving forward. But again, this is the most games that Wemby's ever played. This is going to be the most games all those guys ever played in the season. Because, Wemby's only 3 years in. Castle's 2 years in. Vassell, I think, is 5 or 6 years in. But he's never been a part of a playoff team. De'Aaron Fox has never been out of the first round of the playoffs. Harper's a rookie. Like, all these guys, they're going to probably have to play Harrison Barnes a little bit more to give them a little bit more depth. Because, like I said, they really only like to go 7 deep. They're going to have to expand their bench just a little bit, especially in a potential matchup that we know is upcoming. Because that team goes 9 or 10 deep. And in order for you to really match that energy, you're going to have to trust your bench a little bit more.
Yep.
That's the only thing that worries me.
But with all that being said, with all those guys being so young, man, get out there and run, boys. Y'all supposed to be out here with them lungs, man.
Right, but again, and shout out to Squeeze, like you said, that Thunder series should be epic if it happens. It looks like it's shaping up to happen. It will be epic. I'll say this, Will, it's easy to say, yeah, get out there and run. But now we're in a point now where these guys are approaching 100 games played this year.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of these guys that ain't never had to play that much basketball in 1 year, there's gonna be some fatigue. No matter how we try to, they're young, yeah, but you've never been in this moment before. The intensity is different. The atmosphere is different, right? The nerves are gonna be different. If you're Dylan Harper, you come from playing at Rutgers last year where you maybe played 30 games. You're approaching 100 games on a season. You know what I'm saying? Wemby, this is your first time playing this many games. Again, Wemby's had injury history his first 2 years, so he's never played this many games. So there is a real possibility that fatigue could play a factor, especially late game situations. Wemby during the season was really one of the most beneficial. He benefited the most as a star. Because you look at his minutes per game, he was only playing about 32 minutes a game during the regular season. His minutes have been up because it's playoff time, But that's something to just keep an eye on. Like I said, I think they match up really well with OKC. I wonder if the depth of OKC could wear them down over the 4, 5, 6, 7 games.
Right.
But yeah, Squeeze, I think it's a great series. And when I think about it, this is probably one of the best, if it happens, it looks like it will, but if it happens, one of the best conference finals matchups we probably had since maybe Warriors OKC or Warriors Rockets. Like there's a really, really good high level conference matchup where either one of these teams is good enough to win it all. They just happen to be on the same side of the bracket.
Yeah, you're right because a lot of people might think that's the finals. I know you don't want no disrespect to the Knicks, but
That's why
a lot
that's
of
why your
people.
phone fell over. That's why your phone fell over. Like you disrespecting the Knicks, So
That's hilarious. But yeah, it just I mean this matchup is this is what we want to this what I mean if this is what the people
that's what I want people. But that's what I want people to think. Listen, let them battle it out.
yeah but who do you want to see in the Eastern Conference Finals as a Knicks fan? You sitting back waiting. Who you match up better with?
I think we match up better with Cleveland, but I think both these teams are so flawed that we can take advantage either way. The reason I say Cleveland is Cleveland does not have a single defender who can match up with Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
And so it's going to be nightmares for them to try to figure out how they want to play Jalen Brunson. And then, with this new part of the offense that we kind of unlocked with Cat at the top. If we play Detroit, I think Detroit has better matchups defensively because they're going to throw Thompson on them. They're going to throw Jenkins on them. They could throw Cunningham on them if they want. The only difference is, like I said, with Detroit, on the flip side, I think we're so good defensively right now. They don't have anything that really takes advantage of anything on us defensively. If we put OG or Bridges on Cunningham and just stay attached to the shooters, like I've been saying, they don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anybody who can go at Jalen Brunson because that really is our weakness on defense. You got to attack Jalen Brunson. But if you don't have a guy who can do that, then it knows that it's a void point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Detroit gives us a better series, but I think we could beat Detroit. But if we play Cleveland, I really think we can get Cleveland up out of there in like 5 games.
Ooh, 5?
I think in 5 games.
Damn.
We're way deeper than them. I think, like I said, our bench hasn't got enough credit, and I think Mike Brown doesn't get enough credit for the way he utilizes the bench. I love the term they use, the hockey substitutions where he'll come in with 4 fresh guys at a time, and a lot of other teams try to stagger minutes and I'm gonna bring one guy here, one guy there because they never want to really pull their starting 5 off the floor. Mike Brown has been comfortable with taking 3 and 4 guys off the floor at one time and then coming back with those 3 or 4 guys as you're still trying to figure out your rotation. So I don't, like I said, I think our bench don't get enough credit. Clarkson's good, Alvarado's good, Mitch is good. You saw Deuce went into a starting role and hit 6 threes the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our bench is good. I think Cleveland just does not match up well with us. Whether they want to go double big, single big, it don't matter. I think they just don't match up.
Yeah, but I think what you got to worry about if you see Cleveland is Donovan Mitchell having some magic moments in the Garden.
He played when we played them 3 years ago. He had a good series, and we beat him in 5.
Yeah, they better now.
Moments.
Y'all are too, but they better now.
And we way better now. We didn't have Cat. We didn't have Bridges then. We're way better now. That's what I'm saying. Like I know it sounds crazy to everybody else because it's like, oh, Knicks fans is just delusional. Knicks fans are excited. What we're seeing right now, a lot of people, we've been saying this. Like, you look at the way we played against Denver this year, the way we played against San Antonio this year, the way we played against OKC, but all the top teams, either we beat them or we competed against them. So we already felt very confident going into the playoffs. Now, did I think we were going to be this good? No, I didn't. I didn't think we were going to go on a run like this where we just every game is a damn near blowout. But was I confident that we could at least get to this round? Yeah, I thought we could. And remember what I said before the playoffs started? I thought the second round matchup with Boston would have determined who was going to go to the finals. Boston never met us there. So I guess we got to go to the finals now. Well, I guess we got to go to the finals. Shout out to Pooh. She got another question. Is the
What up,
rest
fool?
is the rest for the Knicks and Thunder? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? What you think, Will?
That I'm not an advocate for when you hot taking a lot of games off. I think rest is good for like in football, but basketball is a momentum sport. I feel like more than any other one, and I expect rust from both teams in the first game of their prospective series because I'm just not a like when you're rolling, and you can sit too long, in my opinion. So I would rather play than sit around if I was OKC or the Knicks.
I think for both these teams, the rest will be beneficial. I do agree with a little bit what you said, Will. Like I prefer to kind of just go into the next series while you have momentum. But I think rest can be beneficial for both these teams. One, OKC now you're talking about their second straight deep playoff run. Again, we've seen it in the past where teams start to wear down a little bit. It's a lot of basketball to play, no matter how you look at it, no matter how young you are. Between their other obligations, between the fact that their season last year ends in middle of June and they're right back in training camp by August, it's a lot of basketball. They also got some guys they need to heal up because Jalen Williams has been dealing with the hamstring issue. For the Knicks, OG is the main one, and that's why it's beneficial for the Knicks. Everybody else is pretty healthy. OG dealing with that hamstring. It's already been reported by Shams that he'll be ready to go for game one. But remember, OG, if that series with Philly would have got extended, he probably would have missed the rest of that series. So I think it could be beneficial in that regard. They both may be rusty in game one. You might be 100% right in game one. But that's also the beauty in the series. If you lose game one, that does not mean you lose the series. You can still get yourself back on track the rest of the way. So I think both teams will be fine, and the rest will be beneficial for them, especially OKC, because if they're going to play that San Antonio team, I think they need all their guys. They got to be 100%. San Antonio has bust their ass this whole season.
How long is Williams out?
Williams been in and out of the lineup for playoffs. I could look back to see when the last time he actually played because I don't even think he really played. He
I
might
don't
have
think he
played
played
one
this
game.
series.
He missed
Oh,
the
maybe.
Lakers series, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen him.
That's
I've
what
just
I
seen
think.
his sideline outfits, but I haven't seen his.
Yeah, the wild ass sideline outfits. Let me see something.
But but the reason I asked that is if he's not going to be back for this series. One of the reasons I think you want to keep playing if you're OKC and not sit around is that kid. Who's the two guard they got starting right now?
AJ Mitchell.
Agent, yeah, he's been giving them. He be
Yeah,
giving them some buckets, and I don't
Jalen
want
ain't
like
played. Jalen ain't played since the Phoenix series. He sat out the whole
yeah.
Lakers.
See, I feel like that kid, Agent, the Mitchell kid, he's somebody I don't want to cool off right now. You
Yeah, he
know,
been good. He been hot all year. He started in the regular season some games, and I think in the first month of the season he was averaging like 26 a game. So he been like this all year.
yeah. But this playoffs again, you know what I'm saying. I just want to, I want to just keep that thing rolling. Just
No,
you know,
I think
you know what I'm
the
saying.
best case, yeah, the best case scenario for any team would be you get a day or two off, and then the next series starts.
Right, a day or two. That's all.
Yeah,
Exactly. Get a couple days, sleep in your own bed, maybe two
right.
days, and then get back to it. But sitting around for a week, 10 days, that's man, that's a long time. Like even in my regular job, if I'm off for 10 days, it take me a minute to get back into the swing of it. You know what I'm
2 days to get back.
saying? They still waiting for me to get back
They
from
said
my vacation.
mentally you still in vacation mode,
Yeah,
right? Like,
you know
all
what
right,
I'm
okay, let me get
saying?
that day too. But to that statement you said reminded me too, like you said, sleep in your own bed. That's another reason why I want the Cavs because the Knicks would have home court advantage in that series. So I would prefer to have home court than have to go to Detroit and give that up in the series as well. Shout out to everybody on Instagram. I see my man Ed over there on that side. What we got here? We got some. Let's get the rest of the basketball questions. Then we get to the football questions. I know they're about to reveal the schedule in a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I forgot that was today.
yeah. Will, this for you. Squeeze said your boy AJ looked pissed. The Wiz got the number one pick. Who do you pick? I know you got a lot of thoughts on it, so let's get to it.
Man, well, I did see the reaction as well. Um, I'm used to that, you know. I'm not too upset about it, but it does tell me a few things. Um, well, I'll start out with I'm not so I'm not 100% like everybody else is that you just draft the monster and call it a day. That's I feel like that's lazy basketball. It's also job security because GMs can't make a decision that's going way left when everybody else is going right, especially if that decision doesn't pan out in the future. Because that's an automatic you get fired if it doesn't work out. So but with that aside, that kid clearly doesn't want to play for the Wizards. Everyone knows he wants to play for the Jazz with all the background he has with them and the ownership and playing college there and high school, and everybody knows he wants to play for the Jazz. Now, if in this world, if you want to play for the Utah Jazz, then you know what, you know what, have at it. If you have a desire to play for the damn Utah Jazz, if you want to live in Salt Lake City, then go ahead, man. You got it, bro. Because if you rather have that than out here in the East Coast in Washington D.C., go ahead and have at it. But I'm not sold that
Well,
you're the best player anyway.
well, hold on, hold on. I
Personally.
want to say that to this though, because I think some people may not know the whole background and why he feels that way. He left Massachusetts when he was 13. He was put in a prep school out there
Mm-hmm.
in Utah. So he's already been living out there for the past 6, 7 years. His family's all out there.
Right.
I've also heard that through his ties with the prep school, through his ties with choosing BYU, because even when he chose BYU, there were a lot of people confused, like why would the top recruit choose BYU, right? He has a lot of connections out there. So he
Yeah.
feels like I want to stay close to home. So I get it, and I agree with you. I don't know very many people who want to live out in Salt Lake City, but I also don't know anybody who's ever lived in Salt Lake City. So it's very possible that because he considers that home and he's comfortable there, that's where he
Mm-hmm.
wants to go. Because I think a lot of people would have felt the same way about LeBron saying, I want to stay in Cleveland. A lot of people would say, why would you want to stay in Cleveland instead of playing in LA or New York? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or like you said, in this case, DC. So I think that because of the backstory, that's what makes the intrigue about him wanting Utah.
Yeah. But I'm not sold on him being the guy.
Okay.
Like I'm I love Darius Acuff, but I know people say, "Oh, you can't draft him number one." Why not? Why can't you draft the best damn player that you think is going to be the best player number one?
I
Oh,
think you
because
could
you don't want
draft
to get
him number
fired.
one.
That's why you can't.
No, I
But
don't.
see,
I think you could draft them number one. I think so. A lot of times people don't really know how to explain why they saying the things they saying. For me, I love Acuff, but do I think I can draft him and still get value? Yes,
mm-hmm.
because the way this draft is structured and the way everybody's in love with these top four guys. If you're the Wiz, if you want Acuff, why not trade down to four, get
With
more
the
picks,
Bulls,
right,
and
and then take
get
a
4 and 15
right,
because they
and
got
then
4 and 15.
right, and then still get your guy, right?
Yep,
Because a prime example of that was when Danny Ainge traded down, even though it was only two spots, he traded down to three. He got Tatum, who was his guy, and got a future pick.
yep,
Right now, had he taken Tatum number one at that time, people would have criticized it because Markel Fultz was clearly the number one player on everybody's board. But Danny Ainge felt like, no, Tatum is my guy. Tatum is going to be the best player in this draft. That's who I want. But again, I don't need to take him number one because nobody else is going to take him number one.
yeah.
I can trade back. So if you want Acuff, then I would say you could get him because
Mm-hmm.
I think you could trade with Memphis at three. I think you could trade with Chicago at four. I think you could trade with the Clippers at five. I think you can trade with
Yeah,
the Nets at six. I think as
you
long as
can
you
make some trades. Yeah,
right, I think as long as you don't go beyond six, you can still get Darius Acuff.
but I personally love A Cup. I think whatever teams pass on him are going to end up regretting. I think they're going to go back and say, "Damn, we passed on." And I mean, it's blasphemy, but you're gonna be like, "Damn, I could have had Allen Iverson." That's what I get when I see this dude attack on offense. Is I get that kind of. It's almost like a more smooth Russell Westbrook type style, and I'm all for that. Now, aside from him, that's just my personal feeling. For the franchise, you got to take a look at Darren Peterson. If you got to, because this dude until the issues with the cramping and taking himself out of games to preserve himself, he was number one over the Master all season until those issues started popping up.
Well,
Even
no,
though the Master was,
were
as far as prospect wise, no, the Master was the number one scorer in the country. But
no,
until Peterson's
even up into their matchup late in the season, people kind of went back and forth with like who do you prefer. Um, but I think yeah, Peterson was in that conversation, of course.
and Peterson, like I don't watch a ton of college basketball, so all I've been doing is watching all these YouTube clips people got. Peterson got some. He got some stuff to his game that I kind of like, and if he loves basketball, then he might be somebody you want to invest in because he gives you kind of that gym rat kind of. Even though he took himself out of games for whatever reason, but he kind of looks like he just looks the part to me. He got
I'm,
he got
I'm,
the
I'm
he
not
got
laughing at your comment. I'm laughing because they just released Week 1 schedule, and the league basically said, "Fuck you, Patriots." They sending them to Seattle for opening night.
oh, that's the Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, but they got to watch the banner go up too.
Yeah, they are.
They
Yeah. So
pretty
that's
much
we.
said, we're gonna
What
send you back to the scene of the crime, and you're
are they
gonna go to.
starting the season with that? That's the kickoff game.
That's the Wednesday night kickoff game.
Yeah. Okay.
The
I'm loving
Chargers
that.
got the chart. Y'all got a super tough game Week 1. I don't know if y'all gonna win. Y'all got the Cardinals Week 1.
Oh man, we starting out behind the eight ball like
Yeah,
that.
you might have to sweat out a victory Week 1.
Now they do. The Chargers do based on uh last year's the strength of schedule.
Hmm.
They are eighth hardest. So I mean we gonna have some tough games,
Yeah,
but
they're gonna have some tough games, and I think some of that is rooted also on your division, right? Because the Chiefs ain't an easy game. The Broncos won the
but
division,
yeah,
so
Chiefs and Broncos full
yeah,
time.
you know,
So
you got some tough games there. But no, I didn't mean to cut you off. Here's my thing on Peterson. I think he is supremely talented and athletic. I worry about though if he can be the focal point of your team. Because when I
mm,
watched Kansas last year, aside from the cramping stuff, there were times, especially like in their tournament game against St. John's, where I felt like he did not want the moment. The defense was tough, the game was tense, and he kind of seemed like he was drifting in and out of moments in the game. There would be possessions that would go by where he would not assert himself. And I don't mean he had the 4 shots, he just would not assert himself in the offense. And so sometimes when I watch him, I wonder like, is he one of them guys that's just a great athlete, but he might end up being more like Andrew Wiggins than a
ooh,
top tier guy, right?
if that's the case, ugh.
So
'Cause
that that
I
would
was
be
thinking, I was seeing like where he is right. What is he like 20?
19, right? 1 year at Kansas.
Oh, 19.
Yeah.
See, well, I was hoping it was a little older because I was seeing Lower Marion Kobe when I was watching his highlights.
So I heard Bill Self use that comparison, and there's been other people who have said like
Oh, for
when
real?
he, yeah, Bill Self and other people have said when he came out, when he was coming out of high school and being recruited, a lot of people felt like he had the look of like a young Kobe Bryant, his mannerisms, his movement on the court.
See, I
But
thought I was going out on a limb saying that. I ain't even want to say it.
no,
I'm glad
no,
somebody else said it.
but
Because I mean, I'm talking
that's
about high school Kobe, not
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah. That's
Lakers Kobe. I'm talking about high
high
school
school,
Kobe.
right? Young,
Yeah,
young, 18, 17, 18-year-old
yeah.
Kobe. But when I watched him in the tournament, I just felt like he drifted too much. And I don't know if that was just listen, it could have just been him like, I'm not really interested in this college thing, but I'm here. So I
That
don't
could
know.
be. How much did he make in NIL?
I don't know. I would have to look that
Because I
part up.
forget about that too. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
another
Like
part of it too, right?
that's yeah. It's like, well, I'm getting out here. I got 5 mil from NIL, and I'm about to go to the league.
There's a lot of complexities with these young guys in college because one, they know they're leaving already. This is almost
Mhm.
like an internship. So how serious are you really taking this? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm here, but come March, I'm gone. I'm gonna start preparing for the draft. And they probably stop taking classes in January. They
Hmm.
probably stopped taking any classes. Like, yo,
Yeah.
I'm not even I'm not even finishing out, or I'm not even worried about second semester because I'm here to hoop. And once March is over, I'm probably emptying out my dorm room anyway.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it. Maybe when he gets to the next level, it might be a flip switch that gets flipped where it's like, all right, now we're at where we want to be.
Yeah. And
So I
and
don't want to be too critical of him.
I like Wilson too.
I love Wilson.
Well, I like him better than the bouncer as far as a prospect
The
for
only,
the A,
I think
AJ the
Wilson
bouncer reminds me of, and it's disrespectful to say this, but he reminds me of like Trevor Ariza, but more athletic. Like I don't see where he's gonna be. Like for him, they pumping this dude up like he gonna be like Scottie Pippen or somebody, and I just don't see that. I just don't.
I think who he reminds me of right now. This was just watching him a little bit last year. He a little bit more athletic than this guy I'm about to mention, but in terms of like the maturity of his game, he looked like Sharif Abdul-Rahim.
Okay. You know what? And a lot of the viewers might not remember him. That's a good comp right there. Yeah.
Now the thing, right, for the viewers that might not know, Sharif was maybe never a number one, right? He probably was better suited to be like a 2 or a 3.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like a consistent guy that you knew every night, like yeah, he could put up numbers, he a bucket, smooth offensive player. AJ's maybe a little better defensively because, like I say, he's a better athlete than Sharif was. But when I watch his game, and you can look at the highlights from the tournament, he already at his age now knows how to manipulate the mid-range game. He's not one of these guys that's like, oh, I got to put my head down and get to the basket. He can, if you overplay that, he can stop on a dime and pull up and shoot. And so that's the part of his game that I really like because I feel like there is some maturity to it. Now,
Yeah,
Caleb Wilson might be my favorite player in the draft because I feel like his ceiling is much higher than everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is rooted in the fact that I just feel like he's super competitive. And when a guy is super competitive, he wants you
Yeah.
to get better.
He got that dog that you don't
Right.
question at all. That you already know. Like he look in the face like he wake up with a basketball, dribbling, eating his cereal. You know what I'm saying? He look like that type of dude,
Right.
and
He
that's what
looks
you want. That's what you want
absolutely.
at the top of the draft when you're trying to change your franchise. That's what
Absolutely.
you want.
Those are the guys that you know are going to put the work in to get better. He's going to compete now purely off athleticism and just love of the game. And
Yeah,
then he's going to put in the work knowing like, all right, but now I got to take my game to this level because I can't just let these guys bust my ass every night. He's going to take it a certain way. So I think if you can get Caleb, I think you walk away from the draft super happy as well.
oh yeah, for sure. I'd be good with that. See, I said this before my hiatus that we were going to get the first pick in the draft this year because this is the year we don't need the first pick. Remember I said this? I
Yeah.
said any other year when there's one guy at the top of the draft and that's who was everybody's target, that's the years we don't get like Cooper Flag, like Wemby. That's the years we don't get the lottery balls to bounce in our favor.
Let
But
me
then the
let me ask,
one year when
let
you
me
got
ask you
five guys that could go number one, we get number one.
let me ask you another question because this has already started to float around this rumor. Would you, if the Warriors offered you that 11th pick, and it probably would have to be Jimmy Butler for Anthony Davis, do you make that trade?
Yep.
Be
I
on the
don't need a.
lookout.
I don't want AD. I don't know if he's going to play a game.
I don't think he
I
is.
don't know if he's going to play a game for the Wizards.
I don't think he is either. I think what the Wizards did, and I still stand by my statement all along. I think the Wizards manipulated their draft and their cap space perfectly. I think wholeheartedly they made the trade for AD and Trey as insurance policies.
Mm-hmm.
If they did not land in the top 4 or 5, then they still would have been competitive this year, right? Because now, all right, we got AD, we got Trey for a season, we should be a playoff team. That was
Yeah.
just an insurance policy. Now you got the number 1 pick. You're probably going to draft the future and the face of this franchise. So, like you said, you don't AD. If y'all want him, take him because I don't think the
Yeah.
Wizards. And I remember when you and I spoke about the trade, and I said then I don't think the Wizards are going to give him a new contract.
That's the thing. He wants that extension already. He's already chirping about that
Right.
extension. And we smart. Finally, we got some grown ups in the building and not giving it to him.
He's his agent.
Oh, it's Rich.
So you know already how that was going to
Yeah.
go. Let's go
And
through a
shout
couple
out
more.
to our GM too, by the way, Will Dawkins. He don't get enough credit for the way he's reshaped
I think he did a
what we're
masterful
able to
job.
do.
I think he
Uh,
deserves a lot of credit. Like I
Even
said,
going back to the Bradley Bill contract and getting rid of that and turning that into essentially Trey Young and AD and having all these young guys and finally getting the first pick. And people don't if you don't know his background, his job before he was in Washington was assistant GM in Oklahoma City. And
I thought he was.
we've seen how they built it.
Yeah, but I
And,
just think
and
he manipulated it perfectly. One of the knocks I've had on the Wiz for a long time, as I told you, was the Wiz don't are not going to sign big name free agents,
mhm,
right? So you can't play that game. You got to learn how to manipulate your roster
right.
based off the tools that you have, and he did that. He turned McCullum and Middleton into better veterans
Yep.
as an insurance policy. And if listen, if AD does want to stay, then great. If AD stays with Trey Young and possibly AJ as a number one pick, it's a playoff team.
Yep.
It's a playoff team. And if AD don't want to stay, great. We'll flip you and we'll dump you for a salary that's expiring, and we'll try to pick up another pick or another asset. And it doesn't matter because the Wizards are not on the clock to be a championship contender yet. Anyway, the roster as a whole is still very young.
Yeah.
So I think the way he's handled this is great. Let's get through a couple more of these before we wrap up the night. We'll go through this one real quick. This from Carmelo. He said Perkins says if Brunson wins the title, he's the greatest Nick ever. Shit, he only been there since 23, right? You got to have some longevity too. He's been with the Knicks since the start of the 2022 season. This is his fifth official season with the Knicks. I
I
don't
say
know if it's this.
greatest run, not greatest Nick.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with that statement. I think greatest run, and not just because of this playoff run. I just think Jalen Brunson as a whole has been way better than anybody thought he was going to be as a Knick.
Right, that's what I mean.
Uh, yeah,
Like a 3 year,
right.
3 year run, getting
He's
you
a lot
there
better
slowly
than
but surely. Yeah.
right. Clyde Frazier won 2 championships for us. Clyde is the greatest player in franchise history.
Hmm.
Who said, Eric, say you're the GM of the Lakers. Do you bring LeBron back? When do you fully give this team to Luka, build around him? How can the Lakers become contenders? Pooh, I would not bring LeBron back. I said this last year. You got to hand the keys over to Luka immediately. And if you're going to make a move this year, you let LeBron walk. And I wonder, and maybe, they got Reeves under contract, they got Luka under contract, so you don't have too much cap space. But Jalen Duren is a restricted free agent. And the Lakers could make an offer to say, you're the big that we need to play next to Luka and Reeves. And that situation, I think, in LA would be a better situation than in Detroit because at least you got 2 playmakers in LA as opposed to just Cade in Detroit. That's how I would fix him real quick. Will, you got any thoughts?
Um, you got to give it up to Luca.
Right.
That's the absolute no brainer. Pooh. But my question, like kind of the segue off of your question, Pooh, where do you think LeBron will end up next year? Do you think he's going to be with LA? Do you think, I've been seeing it as a topic. Let me first squash. He ain't coming to Washington. That
No,
ain't going
he's not
there
going
because I've been seeing that more and more ever since we talked about it, Eric. I keep seeing it every day. Maybe because my algorithm. I keep seeing all these whispers, but no, he ain't coming to Washington. But excuse me, does he stay in LA? Does he go back to Cleveland? Will Cleveland welcome him back? Depending on how this series ends out. What if they lose to Detroit? Would they welcome LeBron? You think?
Yeah.
And to keep you, and you don't have to give nothing up to get him either, as long as he doesn't try to get a max
That,
deal.
that's the thing with LeBron. And I said this last year when he opted into that money. If
Yeah,
LeBron truly wants to just say, look, I want to play for the love of the game and try to see if I can compete for a championship, then take a vet minimum and allow
yeah.
the team to just build the roster the right way. Don't be the
And
second high. You're the second highest paid player on the team when we know you're the oldest player on the team and you're not the second most important player on the team anymore.
taking the vet minimum and going back home to make one more run would be that's
Let
the
me
best way that you can go out, LeBron. You love to be looked at in a certain way, in a certain light. This would be the best light
right.
you could go out on. And
I
take
definitely
Bronny with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you
Bronny could
gotta
be the
take,
dude with,
gotta take
and
Bronny.
then let Bronny be the dude that comes out when people fall and mop up the sweat
Yeah, you gotta
because
take Bronny.
he can do that. He can do that.
Nah, remember when? Yeah, I mean, he could do that. He could do that. You know, but see, I think Bronny's missing his calling here.
Bronny,
Bronny,
you know what he should do? Bronny should be the dude that shoots the t-shirts.
no, no, no. I'm gonna tell you what Bronny should do, right? This is what Bronny is missing his calling. Bronny
Okay.
is supposed to be a mix between the Nassus and remember when campaign was in Oklahoma City, he used to have all them goofy ass handshakes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
He was
who Bronny's supposed
coordinator
to
of
be.
all them joints.
Right. Bronny's supposed to be the first one up off the bench clapping hard as shit. He's supposed to have a handshake with everybody, coaching staff, everybody. And then he's supposed to be the fans are supposed to love him so much that he has all his energy that whenever it is a blowout, they call his name in the last 3 minutes of the game.
Oh, and everybody hyped. The whole arena hyped.
Because he Bronny James, he think he too cool.
Yeah, yeah,
He think he too
yeah,
cool.
man.
He need to embrace his inner Thanasis role and be like, yo, I'm gonna be the super energy
Yeah,
guy that you can't live without. That's
yeah.
what he's supposed to be doing. But remember, I said Golden State. Let's say they call the Wiz up and say, hey, look, AD, we'll flip you this 11th pick with Jimmy Butler because we got to make the salaries match. And Jimmy Butler has one less year on his contract than AD. So for the Wiz, he becomes an expiring contract that you can flip to another contender who's going to want him anyway, right? And
And I might
Bron,
want him. I might want that voice in my locker room with them young guys for a minute.
right? You might, and that's what I say. You might want him there, but and you know he's another guy that's super competitive.
Yeah, I love it. That's what I'm saying. I want that voice in my locker room. I need that kind of voice.
That trade, and now AD's in Golden State, and then it's the perfect opportunity for Bron to say, "I'm gonna take the vet minimum to go to Golden State and play with AD and Steph and Dre."
Yeah. Now, the reason I've got to shoot that now is the same reason I don't think he's coming to Washington with AD in place as it is. Although I want to play with AD and they comfortable with each other. Yeah, but you got him traded from LA. And if you didn't get him traded, you at least said okay. We and like you said, who's his agent?
Rich
Who's
Paul.
and then
Oh,
and LeBron tried to act like he didn't know.
hold on. I'm glad you said that because we haven't got the chance to speak about this. And I came across this bit of information. It made so much sense, and we were right all along. I gotta find the clip for you. There is somebody who is close to Jeannie Buss who admitted that they knew about the trade 2 months before it happened.
2 months. God damn.
Rob,
Two
and
months?
listen, hold on.
That that LeBron knew about the trade? The AD
That
trade?
the Laker organization knew about the trade. That Rob Pelinka did not believe that Dallas would do it. And he had brought it to Jeannie and said, I don't know if they're joking, but they're saying that they're willing to do Luka for AD straight up. They thought Dallas was joking. So they sat on the information just to see if anything would leak about it, to see if they were trying to kick the tires to eventually trade Luka somewhere else, but to make it seem like, oh, there's negotiations going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw that no news had ever leaked about it, and they let a couple weeks go by. Then they ramped up the conversations.
Really?
It aligns with AD recently talked about the trade, and he said when he got the call, it wasn't from Rich first. Somebody else called him first, and somebody else called AD and was like,
Who,
"Yeah,
from the Lakers?
yep." Somebody else from the Lakers called him first, and so he thought because he was like, "No, I'm sorry." He said a player called him and was like, "Yo, Luka's coming to LA," and AD was like, "Shit, who the hell he coming to LA for?" And they was like, "You."
Damn. You.
I'm gonna
That's
find you.
hilarious.
AD said it. He was like, and then after the player called him is when Rich called
I
him.
wonder what player was it.
So the Lakers knew about the trade and had already been talking about it. So that means Rich already knew about the trade, which means LeBron knew about the trade. But hold on. We're gonna get a couple more, and then we're gonna wrap up because I know we're a little over an hour.
All right.
Uh,
It's the return, man. You know we gotta go a little bit over time. You
I know, man. Hold on. We save that for the end squeeze. Will and Eric, did y'all see Rich Paul say that the reason Jordan and Kobe are killers and Braun isn't because they both had their parents. Please God.
Yes. Oh my God. Dude, I saw that and just put that in the pile of Rich Paul bullshit that is never ending. I saw that shit, man.
I'm not
Like,
listening, man.
like, are you fucking
Bro,
kidding
cut that
me?
shit out. Cut that
It
shit out.
said it said he wanted to be a team player because he was trying to always, man, get out of here with that bullshit. That was the dumbest shit I ever.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
Rich Paul.
What your man be like? Pack you up.
Pack you
pack
up,
you,
son.
yeah,
Pack you up.
pack you up. Son.
All right.
Shout
Fellas,
out to
top five
Will. What's his
female.
name? Will Miller. Shout out to Will Miller.
Yeah, he a hilarious dude too.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the last question of the night. We're gonna wrap up. Fellas, top five female rappers of all time and include rap skills, hit songs, impact, and longevity.
Yeah.
Miss Moni Pooh asks rap questions. She says Nicki, Missy, Little Kim, Foxy Brown, MC Light.
Wait, did you say shit's Moni? Oh, I thought you was talking about Moni Love. I was
Yeah,
like, I
no,
know you
no.
ain't talking about Moni Love. I
That's
thought you talking about Moni Love. You know?
that squeezes five. The only that's a tough list. I would take Foxy out. Not that I don't like Foxy Brown. I would take Foxy out, and I think you got to put Eve there.
Eve. I forgot about Eve.
All the other
Female
women,
rappers.
all the other women I'm cool with. Nicki, I
I'm throwing Rhapsody in there. Y'all might not
Rhapsody
know,
is
but
nasty too. Because
Rhapsody's in. Lyrics wise, ain't nobody messing with Rhapsody in my opinion.
right, but remember what he said because there's a lot of
Oh,
people
hits and all that.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bad.
he basically totality of resume. So if you're going by the
Okay.
totality of the resume, I'm okay with this five. I just
The
think
Meg
Foxy
might
is
need to be
not
in there if you're talking resumes.
cool.
Meg.
Yeah, I don't think Meg is
I
top
don't
five.
want to. I mean, I'm just saying if that's what the if it's
I
all
know.
about everything else.
I just don't think lyrically she's nice though.
Me
Because
neither.
if we put Meg in it, then Cardi got to be in there. Cardi got probably more hit
Oh
songs
yeah,
than
Cardi got to be in there. She got to be
Cardi.
in there. If it's about all the stuff listed,
That's what
she
I'm
got to be in
saying.
there.
Cardi got more hit songs than everybody except Nicki and Missy. She got more hit songs than
Missy up there. Missy probably.
yeah,
I say
Missy,
Missy might be number one.
and I'm cool with that.
If it's about all that stuff,
I
then
think
Missy
that
probably.
five. I think that five is dope. I like I said, Foxy would be the only one I would take out, and I would put
Yeah.
E in place of Foxy.
And Foxy probably had the best album out of all of them, but she ain't the big like Wolf. It was
Right,
too short. You know what I mean? It was too short of a career.
man.
But go back and listen to that Foxy Brown album and tell me that shit ain't. You can listen to
Foxy
that right now.
Brown. Yeah,
No,
Foxy
I
Brown.
employ all of y'all to go back and listen to a lot of hip hop albums from like '92 to '96, and argue with me that you can't bump them joints right now and they sound better than a lot of stuff that's on right now.
Oh, that's a fact. But
Dude,
that's also because of there was actually time put into creating a work of art.
yeah,
Now these albums are just a bunch of singles that were thrown together. So
yep,
none of it is cohesive. The sound, you know what I'm saying? Like nothing sounds like nothing else. It wasn't meant to flow together. It wasn't meant to
yeah,
like be a full body of work. That really is. You and I talked about this before. That's why in our era, you would be excited to get the album, get the book open, see who the
yeah.
producers
Look at the
were.
liner notes. Yep,
Yeah. Now it's like they done had 6 singles on YouTube and they just throw them on an album together and be like, yo, here you
yeah.
go. So, Will,
What
give
you
me a
think
question
about that?
before we wrap.
What you think
Go
about
ahead,
that
Eric.
new Chris Brown album?
I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm sure it's dope.
It,
Chris
I'm
Brown,
a Chris Brown fan. You know, I don't care what nobody say. I'm a Chris Brown fan, and
Chris
it's
Brown is one of the greatest artists of all time.
yeah.
Like again, I don't know where you would rank him because I think the ranking part is where it gets tough. But when you talk about the again totality of the resume, the body of work, the longevity, Chris Brown been out over 20 years. So the
BC.
fact, right, the fact that you can still do world tours and you're dropping new music and it's relevant music just speaks to the genius that he is as an artist. Now, where you decide to rank him, again, that might be more on preference. But I mean, he definitely should be in any conversation as one of the greatest artists of all time.
Would you go to the R&B tour, the Raymond and Brown tour?
Maybe I'm not taking my lady though.
You ain't taking your girl. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be too many in there.
Nah, nah,
If
nah.
you take your girl, you gotta wear the blinders, like the glasses they give you, like when you get your eyes
Yeah,
dilated.
the
You gotta
big
wear,
blue
yeah,
box. The blue
because
box.
them, yeah, I'm just woo. Them ticket prices too is outrageous.
Bro, give me a final thought before we wrap up the night.
Wizards basketball, man. Y'all know the meme with Stringer Bell from The Wire. He'd
The
be
word
like,
out.
man, I need to put the word out. We back up, man. Wizards basketball is about to be something official. Um, we gonna get a great player. Either way we decide to do business. If we stay at one, or if we trade back, if we drop back to two with Utah. Also, real quick, if we drop back to two with Utah, what do you think is a fair compensation? I say two. I say the kid that they drafted last year,
Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey, who I wanted last year, since we didn't get DJ. I mean Cooper.
Harper. Oh, Cooper Flag. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And also I'm gonna need a future one. Do you think that would be enough to drop to two?
I
Too
think that's
much?
fair. No, I think that's fair. You're doing a swap. You're doing a future pick. You're doing Ace Bailey. I think that's more than fair.
And then we can still get they take the best at one, and we still get a great player because I don't want the best.
Either Peterson or Wilson.
Yep. That's my final thought. I hope I hope that call is made. I'd like to drop to two because, like I said, this is the 1 year I don't need number one. If I could drop to two, get another player from last year that I feel like is going to be a good player in this league and a future pick, then I'm doing that.
It's my bold prediction, and I know we're gonna get more into it because we got time between now and the draft. If Utah does not trade up, I expect them to trade back, and I also think they're gonna trade Laurie Markkinen too. I would not be surprised if Danny tries to sweeten the pot for you guys, where he may trade Laurie now because Golden State loves Laurie Markkinen. He might try
Mm-hmm.
to trade Laurie just to get more assets to trade with you
To
guys.
send to us.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised. And that would be actually a great trade for you guys because long term, the thing with getting the future pick from Utah, my only thing would be, are they putting protections on it or is it an unprotected lottery pick? Because Danny's very smart. Danny will
Yeah.
give you the pick, he'd be like, oh, but it's top 10 protected.
Yeah.
So it never becomes an impact pick. But he might give you Golden State's pick, which might have more value long term because you know that window is closing
Yeah,
in
that's
30.
about to fall off
Yeah.
quickly.
So
But see,
hold on, if he says to you, we give you Ace Bailey, we give you two, and we give you Golden State's 2029 pick 3 years from now, when you expect all those guys to be gone, that's a very valuable pick.
yeah. No, you know what? They just a little bit late though, Golden State. And I'll tell you why. In the spirit of the show, only in spirit of the show, had they been able to send me Jonathan Kaminga as part of
Stop, because you know you're gonna get the listeners excited. You're gonna get the listeners excited. They're gonna be
and I
like,
could have got Kaminga in the deal, we could have talked.
and you heard what Will said. Kaminga for
I'm
the new one.
joking. That's what I said in the spirit of the show.
They're gonna start saying Kaminga for the number one pick.
Yeah, you know.
Kyrie said Drake new album out tonight. Ain't nobody listen to it.
Yeah, I'm not checking for Drake. I
Nah,
never have. Sorry.
I'll pay attention to the memes. I'm not even gonna lie. I'll pay attention to the memes. I'm not really. Shout out
No
to my brother Will
disrespect.
Gordon.
Respectfully, I just don't. Yeah, we ain't Drake fans over here.
Listen, I'm not Kyrie. I'll catch it when I catch it. I ain't in no rush to hear what Drake
Yeah. If I pull up, some chick could be playing it, and I'll act like I'm a fan
got. Right.
for for as long as I need to.
Well, oh my God, you got the
Like,
Drake.
oh,
I've been
this that
wanting to hear
Drizzy?
it.
This that Drizzy?
I just haven't had the time, but I've been wanting to check it out.
Like, yeah, man, I used to watch the Grassy.
Yeah, I want to know what he was gonna come with on this
Uh,
one. Listen, I'm happy to have my brother Will Gordon back. We back next week, 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday. By then, we're gonna know who's in the conference championship, of course, and we're gonna have some more intel on the schedules and the lottery. So we're gonna have a lot to get into next week, man. But for my brother
yeah.
Will Gordon, I am Eric Sanchez. We are the opinionated ones as part of the Sanchez Show. We will see you guys back next week. Make sure you subscribe. We out of here. Enjoy your night, man.